So, introspection. Introspection is something we should all do a lot more of, and I have no doubt that many of you do that too. However, you know what I'm like with reading books because I read a lot of books and I have done through the years. And so I'm probably not going to have much personal content. So I have to take things from books, as they say. Mm, vicinity cluster. I want to go into some sci fi stuff because you know what? Our world has gone nuts. So, Pierce Anthony cluster series. And so here we are. This is about the soul, the spirit traveling to other worlds and encountering. It doesn't actually tell you that in the book. Really good books, by the way. Um, Anywho, so it's actually a race as well. So anyone that drives or rides a bike, if you know what it feels like to drive fast, respectively, I mean, let's not take the piss now. I think it's important that we're on point when you drive vehicles. So I actually one day I went off on a motorbike without my crash helmet. Now in this land or on this land, they don't like you to go away without crash helmets on your motorcycle. However, this story is about who we truly are, our spirit. Now, this is so I'm going to just point something out here because this is my diary. If you care to listen or not, entirely up to you. However, and I think we should do more of this when we put our thoughts, our emotions, our experiences out there, because we're all fripping connected. Cluster series. There's a reason it's called Cluster series. Now, this guy wrote some really profound books. Pierce Anthony. I still haven't gotten the God Whale, but I will do at some point. So he was born in Oxford, no less. 1934, and he moved with his family to Spain in 39. Well, I think in 34, if you knew what was going to happen, in 39, was it 39? Yeah, in 39, you'd have moved like a few years before that. So we're talking about the Second World War here, right? So, because I've got family from that era and beyond going way back. So, funny thing is, so when you read a book, the important thing is that you actually look at who the writer is and what they actually say about themselves, or the publishers, in fact. Because you go try and publish your work, good luck with that. You'll have a fun time. Pierce Anthony, he wrote a amazing trilogy, and I actually came across one of his books first, and it wasn't the first book. So it was. So the books are Ox, Omnivore, and Ore. Hmm. I came across Omnivore. Now, when you look at who you really are, and I'm not talking just physical, I'm talking beyond that. This is a time of change. Okay, we all know this stuff, right? There's going to be brighter days, more sunlight. I'm so in the wrong country. So cold here. Really don't like it. People are lovely though. They're really, really gorgeous. You should come here. Please come and see Newburgh, right? Trust me. It's like Hobbit land. It's got these mini mountains with like little forests on it and these houses dotted about. It reminds me of a miniature Germany. I'm not sorry. I love my mother country. Nah, I'm not a Nazi because the Germans weren't the Nazis. We're not going there either. When you look at what Pierce Anthony wrote, I mean, it's just mind blowing. And he's not the only one. There's many, many of these writers. And I think what's been forgotten is that teach your little ones and even your older ones to read more. We need to read more. It is important, right? So he buggered off to Spain because he was born in Oxford, where all that weird shit happens in Oxford. Think about that, folks. Uh-huh. Where do you think one of them labs comes from? All this funky stuff happens. Anyway, 1934. Went to Spain, 1939. And then he went to the US of A in 1940. So quite small gaps when you look at the lifespan. His father was expelled from Spain by Franco's government. Figure that then. Bet you none of you ever knew about this guy. Because this is the reason that I speak about these amazing writers that have affected my physical existence and my mind existence and possibly spiritual as well. When you read, there is not a screen in front of your face. When you read, you are creating the pictures. You are the one making the drawing. The drawing. Drawing? You are drawing from source. You are bringing into physicality from our amazing spirit. This is the point. So, Pierce Anthony, and I welcome you. The one that is watching, thank you so much. You can speak to me, by the way. I will reply. So he became American citizen in 1958, and before devoting himself full-time to writing, worked as a technical writer for a communication company, and he taught English. Now, here's something. These writers are flipping great, right? But you don't write these kind of books unless you have some kind of a connection. However, they do want us to be aware. And so, vicinity cluster, oh, that was my Zippo, oopsie, is the first part of this brilliant new, well, it's not new, sci-fi or SF adventure, because these are older books. And I actually came across these. I never paid a penny for these books when I first read them. I had a friend and his family were into like serious reading. I've met so many others like myself. Vicinity Cluster is the first part of his brilliant SF adventure. Pierce Anthony. Pierce Anthony. The Cluster series which chronicles the history of our galaxy over a long mythical period and ranges over the full extent of the galactic cluster. Chaining the Lady and Curlian Quest complete this dazzlingly inventive new work. Now, these books, seriously, I read all of Michael Moorcock's, and Michael Moorcock wrote about the spiritual journey. The eternal champion is not, it's not a physical thing, but it is coming back into physicality. So it, sci-fi is not necessarily uh fan it's not fantasy, and our words are being convoluted, but when you look into these guys' writings, like TJ Bass, Moorcock, oh God, Asimov, Heinlein, Arthur C. Clarke, I mean, T.C. Lethbridge, oh, what's the other one? Down the rabbit hole with, what's her, what's her face? You know the one. The rabbit hole. But, so my point is, I mean, I've read so many of these books and I'm returning to them, and I really want to share some of this. It's not always that easy to do so, though, however. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read a little bit. I'm going to do the prologue. But because I received these from a really lovely lady. She sent me an old postcard from the Denver Dam, right? I mean, it's like an old postcard. So there's some really interesting connections going on in the world right now. Trust me. Prologue. And this is a cluster series. And the first book, starting off now, Vicinity Cluster. Prologue. We have ascertained that this person is an alien creature occupying a human body. The Minister of Alien Spheres said formally, his Curlian field is extremely intense, on the order of 80 times human normal, and its pattern is unlike anything we have on record. We believe he is what he claims to be, an envoy from a non-soul sphere. Pay attention. This stuff is going to come up again and again, and you're going to find it in your life as well, because these these entities, they don't come from our how can I say, they're not from this dimension, shall we say. Okay. The ministers of the Imperial Earth Council contemplated the subject. There was little to this to this this oh God, to this distinguish to distinguish the alien. He was male, of normal height, about 30 years old, in good health. There were no telltale emanations from his eyes, extraordinary nuances of expression, or any visible aura. He was just an ordinary man, with a bright tattoo on his right wrist. That tattoo was the mark of a recipient body, mindless, empty, without personality, even without the Curlian verification. The intelligent animation of this body was highly significant. Only a freak accident could have done it, or an alien possession. 4. There was no known way to forge a Curlian imprint, and Sphere's soul lacked the technology to transfer identity from anybody to another. The regent of Earth planet spoke next. formally addressing the possessed body. Sir, we accept you as such an envoy, and accord you the courtesies, of that office. Welcome to Sphere Sol. Please acquaint us with your mission. Now, there was an almost tangible tension in the hall. Such visitation had been known only half a dozen times before in all human history, and each had had cataclysmic impact. One had confirmed the existence of intelligent alien life elsewhere in the galaxy and revealed the presence of transfer technology. We're talking about soul travel here. So your consciousness going to another world. And I mean physically going to another world. Because conscious energy is also physicality. So one had confirmed the existence of intelligent alien life elsewhere in the galaxy and revealed the presence of transfer technology. Now, this book was written, let me just recap here, because, and I'll tell you why it's important, because this is not new tech. This is very old tech. Whether we like it or not, it's been going on for many, many decades, centuries, millennia, and aeons. So this was Pierce Anthony in 1977, republished 1985. To realize what's going on right now, the technology that we are using is nothing new. This technology was stolen from our ancestors, and Pierce Anthony was one of those that was speaking about, such stuff. Another, oh, sorry, I'm going to continue. This is my present for you that I can't be with. So I'm just going to read you some of the things that have inspired me, um, a little bit at a time. Anywho, so in the galaxy was revealed the presence of transfer technology. Now we already know this. The Fly, various other stories. Oh, Avatar's a good one with that, actually. Actually, Avatar it probably comes closest to this because to live on another world, I mean, physically, you would have to have some kind of body to experience that. And that this guy, amazing writing, because and I'm going to just jump forward a little bit. Uh, the guy in the story jumps forward and he comes into this world where he wasn't actually given, you know, um, allowance to come into this body, but he did somehow come into this body because that spirit said, yeah, you can use my body while my spirit is sleeping. So, and that's what this is about. Okay, it's really deep. And some of you might not get this shit at all. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. So, it comes into this body that is, it's almost like bog like, and in like mud underwater, and the world is very gloopy, and it's fascinating. The writer Pierce Anthony, I mean, he will take you to that other world. And that is what's so fascinating. Why I read all these books, and more. A, a good writer. This is why I love. This is why I love Ed, the Outer Light man, Joe Orange. He can write as well. Good writer, so important. I can write as well, but I can also read and reiterate sometimes. So this story is about traveling with your soul while you still have a physical body, your spirit. Well, your soul is like the connective between, so it's part of the mind. That's an in between of the spirit and the actual physical. I'm never going to shut up about this stuff because I've I know that I am not my body. Okay? When I was 14, I decided, I've had enough. Don't like being prostituted, and I took some pills and I spent many hours looking at my physical body. And I'm not afraid to say so because I'm still here. My journey hasn't ended. And when you speak out about what is actual, what is actually happening. And I've always said this. Prostitution, child prostitution, abuse, doesn't matter what age you are, is a thing that isn't natural. Escapism helps us deal with those things. Staying on the positive, it's important. But when you realize many years after something has happened that the system is literally a piece of poo poo. And, I mean, the police, they knew exactly what was happening. They knew the girls were all underage. They did nothing. Not an iota. It was fascinating. But what I find fascinating is, why haven't they removed me yet? Because they seem to want to bump us all off, so to speak. You have to have humour in this. Because if you don't have humour, what's the point? I'd love to show you my little friends, but I can't show them to you right now. You probably wouldn't understand. Well, yeah, no, there's some of you that. Hey, what? Yes, you too. Yeah, Merry Solstice, mate. You gotta have a rant in you sometime. But anyway, so it's like the worm Ouroboros, isn't it? What? We're just going round and round in circles, and then when we find that that circle actually expands, it goes out and it connects with everything else, the nature and all that stuff that we are. Bless you what. So I'm going to wish you a happy Hogmanay. And I just want to say that nothing is as it seems. But if you listen to your heart, you'll be just fine. And take care of your family and friends. Because just because they're not, blood related, doesn't mean they're not your family. In fact, sometimes it's the opposite. So, bless you all. Love you all. And solstice rules. The days are going to get longer. More sunshine. All beautiful stuff. And then we can start growing again. But I think that the growing happens sometimes in the darkest times when it's cold and a bit, yucky. Anyway, in Lakesh,